The race towards the 55th National Conference of the ANC in December is fast gaining momentum. ANC NEC member and party's Deputy Secretary General hopeful Nomvula Mokonyane says although President Cyril Ramaphosa gave his version on the Phala Phala matter, she's of the view that a lot still needs to be clarified. Our politics reporter Nathasha Phiri sat down with Mokonyane.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, and of course to our SABC viewers. As you know, the SABC politics team has been talking to various candidates that are vying for the top 6 position of the ANC, and this is just as we are less than a month away from the elective conference that will be taking place in Nasrec, Johannesburg. Of course, you've seen us with various candidates, and today we're joined by Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane. Of course, you would know that she was once the premier of this province, the economic hub of the country, Gauteng, and of course she served as minister in 3 portfolios. Ms. Mokonyane, thank you so much for joining us on SABC News. Just first and foremost, before we actually get to issues of candidacy and you being nominated for DSG, you were a minister for the longest time. You're now in ANC, you're a national organizer. Just tell us about that part, how life has been since you were the national organizer of the ANC and your work within the party, especially right now where it seems that the ANC is actually going through a turbulent time.
Thank you very much, and afternoon to your viewers, Natasha. Thanks for this opportunity. Yes, you want me to start right at the end. Well, for the better part of my life, even being in public office, I've been part of the machinery of the ANC, predating the unbanning. I've been an organizer of the Federation of Transvaal Women, which was an affiliate of the UDF. I've organized, I've been a shop steward of Kausa, which is now Sakau today. Now I'm here on a full-time basis. It's been quite a very challenging period, a period where we had to look at a different way of recruiting members, a different approach of convening meetings of the ANC, a lot of work around political education, and operating under a very terrible environment of COVID-19, something that we have never actually thought of. I think COVID-19 was even almost similar to a state of emergency, where you'll have to, quietly go underground and continue doing the work. And gratitude on my experience this time goes to members, ordinary members of the ANC, who kept the ANC alive, who did a lot of work under those conditions. And what has been quite exciting was the enthusiasm of people who had to go out and give support to families, to victims of floods in KZN. One of my memorable periods is that when we saw all provinces of the ANC, leaders of the ANC in the various provinces rallying behind and in solidarity with the people of KwaZulu-Natal, Port St. John's and the Northwest, our ordinary members setting up the COVID response forums in their townships and working together with the ANC Women's League that held the ANC by hand through the Molo Makelwane program that helped to deal with the neighborhood challenges and so on and so forth. But the most other reality is that it was at a time when, as you said, and as we have all considered, at a time when the ANC was going through serious internal tensions. And still is right now. Yeah, and I think you were there yesterday when the president closed. Even the NEC does concede that we have had serious challenges. We have had serious problems, particularly around the role and responsibility of leadership. But yeah, Here we are today. We are just 30 days or so from the national conference. We have convened provincial conferences. We have convened 46 regional conferences. We are left only with the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape. Unfortunately, we have not been able to take the Youth League to conference.
The Women's League as well.
The Women's League has been given a 9-month term. We cross our fingers that maybe we should not even wait for 9 months, because there's infrastructure. There are structures of the Women's League. What needs to happen is that validation through processes of the Women's League, as well as ensuring that they take along all the provinces and members. And I think if it is about organizational renewal, the Women's League might not even have to wait for 9 months, knowing what one has been doing with the previous NEC, as well as with the organizing task team of this entity. The Youth League, they are done, they are ready. The Youth League is ready for conference.
But people have been asking the question, why don't they sit? Which actually brings me to the next question. It was actually at the bottom of the list.
Are they not sitting precisely because of some of the challenges around resources?
Okay, before we actually get to that point, are you of the view that ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has collapsed the leagues, the ANC Youth League and the ANC Women's League?
I think what has been a problem, I would detest singling an individual. But I think in our differences, the way we constitute task teams, we constitute them on the basis of the past differences, and say these ones are known to be supporting a particular leader and these ones are known to be supporting a particular leader. And in some instances, then there is a dominance of a particular group. And I think it is one lesson that we must learn, that in as much as the Women's League has been reconstituted in terms of the task team that we have, and of course other people are saying it is because they had gone beyond their term of office,
and there was COVID-19,
but the Women's League was working during COVID-19, and that's what some of us, yes, I had to live with the decision of the NEC, but some of us have been on record to say we should have reconstituted the Women's League and brought in that leadership. If we're saying they were fighting, there's no structure that was fighting more than the NEC of the NC. And we should have then tested our commitment of building unity by making those comrades to work together.
You've been very critical of this current crop of NEC members. They've got probably less than a month to fulfill their mandate. A new NEC will be elected. Is this the weakest NEC in the history of...
Let me tell you, just reading and going through the ANC material of what happened from the founding of the African National Congress, and at a time when there was just an onslaught on the ANC, the PAC and stuff, leaders of the ANC, under those difficult conditions, were able to come together, even in the midst of the tyranny of the apartheid system, and operate together. When the ANC was banned, leaders of the ANC were able to adapt and go underground, and at a particular time help to rebuild the mass democratic movement. And the ANC operated from prison, from exile, underground and everywhere. And post the unbanning, the coming together of those that were in prison, the coming together of those that were in exile, and those of us who were at home, were able to work together. When Comrade Chris was killed, that was a turning point. It tested the leadership of the ANC. The suspension of armed struggle tested the leadership of the ANC, and you had comrades that were very passionate about Umkhonto weSizwe and its status, because people were dying in Buipatong, in Kagiso, everywhere. But finally the leadership took a collective decision and they rose above. We have had challenges everywhere, but up to today, we have people who thrive on factional positions in our NEC, and I'm saying that without actually being hesitant. That there are people that that anything that they do, even as they preach renewal, their renewal is about self-preservation. Nothing about, if you talk about unity, there can't be unity of the like-minded. And then people talk about a principled unity. And I'm saying, yes, there's been experiences of principled unity in the ANC during the time when there was mutiny in the camps. Leaders of the ANC came together, sorted out issues. When Chris Hani wrote a letter to the leadership of the ANC and the Morogoro conference, those were trying times. And leadership of the ANC, O.R. Tambo and his collective rose to the occasion. And when there were processes of going to negotiations, when there was that delegation that came from exile working together with the leadership of the Mass Democratic Movement, everybody worked for a common cause. And I think we could have done better, Nathasha. We could have done better. We've got capable people.
And you're not excluding yourself.
No, yes, that's what, and remember, I keep saying we. I keep saying we. We could have done better. We could complement one another. And I really hope that, remember we had planned to go for a retreat. Unfortunately now we can't go for the retreat. Reality is here that we're going to the conference. We couldn't go to the NGC because just yesterday, remember it was after almost 2 years that we met. But the best NEC after a long time was this one we had at Nazareth. Because when you meet in person, it's different. You understand a person, and everybody speaks his or her mind, and in fact, the spirit of comradeship was there, even though we were critical on one another. Even our chair was very good. In these virtual meetings, he will just say, "Phala Phala, Nomvula." He was nice. It was. I wish we could have had 4 other physical meetings before the national conference. I'm sure we'll do better. But what has been good, we've all committed that we will be frank in accounting to our members. We will be critical, but also appreciate that we'll be sitting in this conference because individual members of the ANC are the ones who have made it possible for us to go to this conference.
Are you happy with the explanation that ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa gave on Phala Phala?
Listen, he gave his own version, and I think there's still a lot that has to be clarified. There's still a lot that still has to be clarified, and we were hoping to get a report from the Integrity Commission, and there was no report from the Integrity Commission because Comrade President presented in his overview that part of his own understanding of what has happened. And he went to the Integrity Commission, and I do hope that we'll get the report. Some of us are the ones that have been saying we need a consistent approach by the Integrity Commission so that consistency applies in how they handle
So the
things.
leaked report that we got as members of the media is not the true one, because remember there was a statement afterwards and the Integrity Committee had distanced itself from that report.
Nathasha, we didn't have a report of the Integrity Commission.
At all?
No, there wasn't. The only source on Phala Phala in that meeting, which, by the way, Phala Phala was not on the agenda. The agenda gets adopted by the NWC and then comes to the NEC. The NEC adopts. There was no item 7 that says Phala Phala. In the political overview, Comrade President presented his side. And in the discussions, everything was raised. And the most unfortunate thing, and the TG on behalf of the SG's office confirmed that there is no report. So whatever that was in the media, I can't speak on behalf of the Integrity Commission. I can't speak on behalf of you people as to how you got it. But the NEC was never finished with the report.
Is this Phala Phala issue causing damage to the image of the ANC or the brand of the ANC? I mean, you yourself have been fingered in the state capture report. There's recommendations that you must be investigated as well. What does this do to the image of the ANC?
You know, things that get raised and never been resolved in a constructive or in a procedural manner do harm the organization. They do, and I think even the president himself was saying he's aware that this thing is a challenge, but this is his side of the story. And like I'm saying, the NEC never expected a report from the president. The report was supposed to be a report of the Integrity Commission.
And your issues on Bosasa?
Well, I don't know. I'm sitting here. There's the Zondo, there's the state capture report. Yeah, there's the state capture report. I have advised my lawyers to take up the report because I do believe that there are things that the commission could have put differently, but also that even in that report of theirs, their recommendations and their conclusions are different from what was the issue at the presentation. And I think it is those things which even the ANC has said, it is within our right as individuals, because we do have the constitutional right as South African citizens to reflect and express our views, and that's what we're doing.
Let's talk about, you've been nominated by several, not nominated, sorry, touted by several provinces. ANC members want to see you as their DSG. You've got the likes of the ANC's National Youth Task Team, ANC Women's League Task Team. What attributes would you bring to this position? And also, why the position of DSG?
And not the president.
Yes, not the president or actually the SG. I mean, it's a big position. It's a very important one. You're basically running the engine of the organization. And also, I know you went through a difficult time when the late Mamdi Stuart passed on. Just why should they elect you? Are you following up in the footsteps?
Look, I've been approached before many of the provinces touted my name. They called me, some came to see me, others didn't even talk to me. But I am aware that 3 provinces discussed in their structures, and then they also got in touch with me. And at that point, the issue was, I appreciate it, let's allow branches to proceed, because the ANC process is that is driven through branch processes, and comrades are accepted, and from there we left everything to the organization, to the organizational processes, and we had a serious discussion even politically on why do they want me to be the DSG, because it's not me wanting to be the DSG. I asked them, why not the president? Why not the deputy president? Why not every position? Let's discuss, and why this one? And comrades then gave their own both political and organizational explanations, which I really appreciate, because for me, you ask me to go and run a campaign in Mamosa. I will go and do it for the movement. And part of what maybe you'd not know is that I got approached from as far back as in Pulukwani to stand as an office bearer. Then it was also being pushed when we were in Mangaung. Then when we were in Nasrec, the last conference as well, the last conference I declined when the Electoral Commission came through. I declined nomination. So part of what I also do is to look at what are the tasks at hand. And comrades were raising issues about organizational responsibilities, being in a position where you'll have the authority and the ability to drive issues without having to defer to somebody. And as it is now with the organizing, you account through the SGO. So we agreed. I took that, and for me, no position is insignificant. And you raised the issue about Comrade JC, may her soul rest in peace. That is one other woman that I've always said I will not be an office bearer as long as JC is there. I said it also when Comrade Thandi Modise was there, and Sister Angie, and JC again, and I said I will not
Why?
do that. I think it has to do with my organizational wiring. I respect the hierarchy of the ANC. And I felt at that time that I'm going to work and do much to impress on members of the ANC to vote for this woman, because I believe in her, and I believe that if she's part of the collective. Of course, we didn't get Sisko Sazana as a president.
I was actually coming to
yes,
that.
we didn't get Sisko Sazana, and having Jesse there, and having worked to get Jesse, who ended up uncontested, by the way, was also quite good. And
But were you not disappointed that at least there should have been more women in the leadership collective
I
of
wish
ANC?
we could have 6.
Because also my problem is that there's this perception that women in the ANC always
Only become
deputize.
deputized.
Yes.
You know, I agree with that. But I think what has been also quite good in these discussions was to say we need to also define the role of deputies, so that you don't wait for somebody not to be there or for somebody to hand down what your responsibilities are. And hence the thing that I've said, to have had a serious organizational engagement, because I will get bored having to wait for somebody to give me work to do, or I will create my own work and space and go and do it. So those discussions have also led to the issues around the amendment of the Constitution, the dealing with the clear description of what the role of the DSG would be.
Who would you like to see as ANC president?
I have a preference. I have a preference, Natasha, and truth be told, I'm running a program of the ANC, making sure that we do lots of work with branches and stuff, and people have pronounced, provinces are yet to consolidate. With my preference that those that I work with, some of them don't know, others know. I think it is good for a person in my position to be measured, to be measured in a situation where there's hardly consolidation of the candidates. And hence I keep telling people the only candidate I will pronounce now is Nomvula Mokonyane, because it is safer. And then tomorrow I'll be sitting with provinces, sorting their BGMs, sorting their credentials. That should be the spirit, so that you are not seen to be conflicted.
Okay.
There are people who may conclude who my preference is, but nobody has spoken to me. They might have not spoken to me. My own preference would have been to see 6 women in the top 6. Yeah.
Interesting.
6.
Do you think that we'll see more women this time around
I hope we will.
with the new electoral guidelines?
I think we'll get more women in the entire in the entire 86. I think we will. And I think what provinces are doing, engaging amongst themselves and talking to one another, it's quite important. And when you are being considered, you should not be the one who's upfront to say, I would love to serve with so. Let the structures of the ANC be given the space to do exactly that.
But do you find that women in the ANC are actually united about these issues?
No.
Why?
Because we buy other people's battles. It's not our issues. We're not fighting over our differences as women. We even get too involved in other people's battles when they have actually made up and they've kissed and they're fine. And that's the sad part. That, you know, I was talking to some young women from the West Rand, and yesterday after the NEC, and I was saying one historic conference was that conference where the ANC Women's League mobilized women and men behind positions of the ANC, and we got the 30% quota. And it is that responsibility that the league must do, of uniting women, and not of course finally they might have to choose, but don't work tirelessly to unite women. Even when you have preference, it must not actually mean that you have preference against another woman, and hence some of us are fine with the nominations of the ANC Women's League, because I know I enjoy the support of the ANC Women's League in my region, in my province, and in many provinces. But the entity of the Women's League has chosen other people, and I respect their choice. They didn't nominate her.
There was an article that said that they had touted her as their preferred presidential candidate.
In the Women's League?
In the entity, the ANC Youth League entity.
Or the ANC Youth League?
Yes.
No, the Youth League came with Zweli.
No, the ANC Women's League. Yeah, the National Task Team.
The National Task Team came with President Ramaphosa.
So that article...
Yeah, no, I don't know the article. I'm talking about what is in their statement.
Okay.
In their statement, they came with President Cyril Ramaphosa. And one of the things as part of organizational renewal that we must do is to also go back to those processes that when you go to conference, even the leagues have to consult their structures. Like I'm saying, I'm not sulking, I'm not angry, but of course I've been nominated by others, and I hope therefore that the league will not be anti-Nomvula or anti-Kensani or anti-Nkosazana or anti-Lindiwe. They will deal with their candidate and respect the choice of members of the ANC on nominating other women, and rather not say anything, because you must still provide leadership to me.
You just raised an interesting point, saying that yesterday after the NEC, you spoke to young women from the West Rand. I don't know if you're aware of it, but I mean, you have now been regarded as a mother figure within the ANC. Youth leaguers come to you for advice. Women, the ANC Women's League, come to you for advice. I won't mention names, but someone had drawn a comparison between you and the likes of the late Mama Winnie Mandela. Just also reflect on that relationship between the two of you and what you've learned from her.
Yes, and hence in our informal discussion I explained the issue of Mama. You know, Nomvula Mamzo, Mama Action, Mvuli. And I've reached a stage where I have to do the same that was done to me by those who came before us, such as Sister Panat, Jessie herself, Susan Shabangu, and many others, Umamwini, who held me by hand and made me to be what I am. And I've also seen them going through, you know, trials and tribulations, and that experience has actually made me to appreciate that politics is not for sissies. It's even worse for you as a woman, because then you go through the worst of it all, and you must then do 6 times more
than your male
counterparts. I find that as my revolutionary duty, but also just as an African woman, that any child is my child. It is so fulfilling that somebody can take up an issue with you and have expectations on you, whilst they are not aware that you also are carrying a lot. You have your own pain. We've seen it with Boma Sisulu, but as you walk into a house, the first thing that she will ask you, having traveled by train from Kagiso to Orlando, she will say, Udlile. First thing, have food. The house is warm. Have a cup of tea. and then she will guide you, she will send you from one place to the other, and of importance, she will forever have an ear for you, even when you have done something wrong. You know, there will be a mother who will say, I hear you, my child. And that's also Nomzamo. Comrade Winnie, we had a funny relationship of both mother and daughter, of both comrades, but also friends. We used to gossip a lot and talk about girl issues. You know, she liked nice things and stuff, and she would want to have your earrings, and she will tell you about where she bought her scarf and every other thing. And through my contact with her, because she used to frequent Kagiso at the Catholic, the St. Peter's Roman Catholic convent, where Sister Bennett used to operate, and we will travel also this side, and through the Release Mandela campaign. So I then also became closer to Zinzi, and we became sisters, and I know what Zinzi felt about her mother. Even when in politics there'll be strains between ourselves and Comrade Winnie, Zinzi will be the one that will say, Mvulas, come, let's talk. And we'll sit, we'll have meat, we'll drink with Zinzi and be girls and do everything, and then we'll talk about Big Mama. And that will be Mama. Sometimes she will join us, she will be the one who will be nice with us. And these are women who also carried the pain. Sister Bennett went through her own hell of experience being a Catholic nun and taking this choice. And yet every time she carried a smile. We had women in the trade union movement like Ritan Zanga, when some of us were trade unionists, and Abo Emma Mashinini. Emma Mashinini wrote a book about her own challenges, and all that she was raising was about the strikes and victimized and so on. So you look at those people, as you say, how do I feel? I think I'm doing what I've been groomed to do, even at home. I lost my parents at a tender age, and I was brought up by my brothers and sisters, whom I'll be forever grateful of. But even in the street where I grew up, any child was everybody's child. So I'm a child of Kagiso, a small township which has now grown, but everybody knows that you are so-and-so's child, and so-and-so is so-and-so's child. So I think it's an honor also to have abantwana kids who come to you, young ones, who are open with you and who look up to you. I was looking up to Jessie now, because all these ones are gone.
Yeah.
They are all gone. It's Jessie and Lindy and Susie, Shabangu,
Yes.
those that I can count, and also her. So you do it because you know that somebody did that to you.
Ms. Mokonyane, as a parting shot, I know we press for time, but I don't want to let you go without asking this question. Your relationship, how's your relationship with the current president of the ANC? I know you call him Grootman. And how's also your relationship with the former president of the ANC, President Jacob Zuma? Because remember, it was said in 2017 that you were somewhat of a supporter of his back, and now it's the public perception out there, he's seen as a nemesis to President Ramaphosa. And I mean, you know that he publicly, lambasted him about a couple of weeks ago, or just last week Saturday. How's the relationship between the two?
My relationship with President Zuma is beyond just him being a former president. He's a father to me. He's a father to me, and you can remove politics and anything on him. He remains a father, and I have great respect for that. And people don't also understand that some of us are not wired in a sense that you can go out and condemn and be anti somebody. I'm not wired to be anti anyone. I have views, I have preference. I relate well. The last time we were together at Moses Mabhida, at the ceremony of King Mrs. Zulu, and she was a mang lahlwa ugogo, because his own grandmother is Mam Kize, and so we have also that relationship with him, and we talk, and I think it is within his right to express how he feels, because he's also carrying a lot. The same with other presidents, like President Thabo Mbeki. I see him as a father figure, and now we have Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, who's the president of the ANC. Listen, he was elected in Nazareth. Sisko Sazana was the one who called us and said, you know what, the campaign is over. Let's all rally behind the president of the ANC. And those are some of the traits of Comrade Nkosazana. And throughout the term, that's one woman I appreciate. She nurtured us to say, let's be organizational, because you are elected. When the time comes for you to express your views, express them. But that does not mean you must actually look down upon a person. When the person has got shortcomings, get into the meeting and say it as it is. And we've said that when we are out in the streets, people must see the ANC, because you must respect the office. Leaders come and go. The office must forever be respected. As I said when we started, Nathasha, this has been a difficult period, and therefore we can't also not run away from the fact that there has been challenges around style of leadership and character of individuals who are in the NEC. We all were excited when we left Nazareth in 2017. When I went to East London to campaign for January 8, I said the slates were broken in Nazareth. But NEC members will come, we pick up these, we live with these little pieces forever. But the beauty of it, ANC members have done a lot of work. They are the ones who brought the votes that we got. It's volunteers of the ANC. They are the ones who have now set up branches and structures that are now taking us to conference. They are the ones who have actually survived COVID, doing a lot of work for the ANC. They are the ones who are part of Molo Makelwane, and they still have faith in the movement. And therefore, we need to look at ourselves as leaders and say we need to go back to basics. Renewal must also mean us. Be an activist, be an agent for change, self-correct yourself, extend a hand of friendship on another person. The extent of hate amongst ourselves is the one that just hurts me. Maybe it's because also I'm Christian. I believe in forgive us our trespasses, and members of the ANC forced us to be together. But there are those that didn't want to do that and still don't want to do that. The conference is sitting on the 16th. All of us, our term comes to an end, including of the president. That's why we now are nominated. The Electoral Commission will come and say, so and so is nominated, and then you make your choice.
I wish we could have more time for this, but unfortunately we've run out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nathasha,
for that interview. Of course, that was Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane, the national organizer of the ANC. She's also an ANC NEC member, of course, whose term is coming to an end on the 16th, around the 16th of December, where ANC delegates will be electing their new leadership. But that said, it's back to you in studio.